Okay, let's talk about these numbers and bring in our political strategist. Susan Smith, former Liberal strategist, co-founder and principal at Blue Sky Strategy Group. Cole Hogan, a conservative digital strategist, principal at GT. And George Sewell, former director of communications for the NDP. Hello to all three of you.
Hello, Michael.
Hello.
So, if you're a Liberal, as I said, you're going to be happy with these numbers. Carney very much in the lead right now. But, he's also arguably been helped out in the first half of this campaign by Donald Trump making a weekly appearance because it seems more comfortable speaking from the Prime Minister's office than he does as Liberal leader on the campaign trail. Is there a danger of the Liberals peaking too soon, too high in this campaign, Cole?
Sure. I think I see, the Nanos polling had things narrowing. And when I look at the Conservative campaign over the last few weeks, there's been an effort to try to build momentum. So we had the Caroline Mulroney endorsement in Toronto the other week. We had Harper out in Edmonton with, 10,000 plus people there to try to shore up the voter coalition that Harper had. Then we've had a series of policy announcements every day so far in the campaign. Polly and the Conservatives have put out a policy every day, I think, to try to say, hey, these are the answers to make us less dependent on the United States, to try to narrow the gap between Carney and the Liberals, and we'll see if that can be successful leading into the debate and for the rest of the campaign.
Are you sensing an impact so far?
I think that the policies on energy, on crime and addictions, the auto stuff, taking the GST off of cars made in Canada, I think these are starting to break through bit by bit, but Carney still leads on, the leading issue right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he leads very, very strongly, evidently, Susan. But is there a danger to be leading so far ahead with half the campaign still to be had?
Look, campaigns are complicated things, and mishaps can happen and opportunities can happen. I think Mark Carney's done really well, given that he's a rookie politician. He's not a rookie economist. He's stepped into the role of Prime Minister exceptionally well, both with the moves he made right at the beginning as Prime Minister, cutting the carbon tax and going to the UK and France and doing the important things that have sort of solidified people's view of him as Prime Minister, and when he's had to step away from the campaign and deal with Mr. Trump, and from a Canadian perspective, show Canadians what we're doing from an economic angle to deal with the Trump tariffs. But at the same time, I think he's acquitting himself well in terms of demonstrating the vision that he has for the country. But we have 2 weeks to go. I don't think anybody's taking anything for granted. The debates will be difficult. There's no question. I think Mr. Carney will have a hard time in the French debate as long as he needs to be able to communicate and connect with people. But it will not be like the Pierre Poilievre slogan quip show. The English debate will be a little bit different. But I think the movement is in the right direction when you consider the Liberals were 25 points down in January, and now they're anywhere from 6 to 10 points ahead. That's an awfully big momentum shift. And if Mr. Carney continues to be the statesman, thoughtful economist that he is, I think that's the competence the Canadians are looking for.
Okay, Georgia, what do you think about potential pitfalls for Mr. Carney? He enjoys a lead right now. Can he bank on that lead?
Well, I think every time we say, he has to, pause the campaign to go be Prime Minister, his time behind the Prime Minister podium are his best moments in this campaign. Sure, he looks the part, and it allows him to be, again, that kind of calm economist figure rather than kind of being the politician out campaigning. So I think those opportunities are good for him. That said, when he is campaigning, there are challenges. I think the debates, he's used to those conversations. I think the French one, will be a challenge for him. You always want to sandbag our own guys, but I think it's just fair to say that it's going to be hard for Mr. Carney to go in French. I think also some of the questions he's getting around his own wealth. The NDP's really been talking a lot about tax havens, and to a question yesterday on that, he didn't say he was going to shut those loopholes up so that corporations pay their taxes. What he said was we're going to spend less. So he's already opening the door to cuts on the Liberal side. So I think those things are some pretty big missteps that he might make in the next little while. But I do think, again, that the Conservative campaign actually is tripping. So I think it's going to be, the question increasingly is going to be majority or minority Liberal government.
Okay.
There's some interesting discussions or things that are happening too. There's sort of the formal campaign stuff that's happening, but there's a video that's out for people at home, someone called Nardwuar, look it up, and Mark Carney's done an interview with Nardwuar, and it was fun, and it was on music. And it was the other example or the other side of Mark Carney that we haven't really seen so much since the Jon Stewart interview at the beginning of the campaign. Contrast that with Pierre Poilievre, and I'm really curious about the blue Corvette and what that was about. I asked some friends about which demographic. Pierre Poilievre and his wife, for those of you that haven't seen it yet, drive around a track in a blue Corvette, not even made in Canada, and fist bump each other at the end, drive really slowly around the track. I don't know what that's about and who it's for. So you're seeing a few of those things, as well as signs at Poilievre events that they don't trust don't trust the polls. More American type, Trump type stuff that's creeping in. How big's my crowd? What did you think of my crowd? Blocking off the media. So those are things that I see nervousness on the part of the Poilievre campaign, where the Carney campaign is showing the human side of him.
Let me jump in there because, Pierre Poilievre, the Conservatives, they've been drawing in huge crowds. Cole, you referenced that. And they are very big, very enthusiastic crowds, very committed crowds. But then there are moments that make you wonder if they have, snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Take a look at this clip at a news conference involving the Conservative leader.
When was the last time we had a rally that big in Canada?
I don't know. I've never been to a political rally that big, I don't think.
You know a lot about politics.
Well,
You're a very well-informed person. I know that if there were a bigger rally than that, you would know about it. I think so. But I think it was pretty incredible. Were any of you there? Yes. Magic, eh? Wow.
Okay, you're talking about the pitfalls that Pierre Poilievre, still faces. How does that sell? What do you make of that exchange, Cole?
Yeah, I don't think it's the best look, just to be fair. Like, I will boost my own team, but I don't think that we need to be bragging about the crowd sizes. Everyone sees that they're significant, and they're record-breaking numbers. They're impressive. Let them speak for themselves, which I think they do. And, on the points of the people that showed up in the hoodies, the "Do you believe the polls" hoodies, I don't know whose idea that was. It certainly wasn't the Conservative Party's. I don't condone it. And you can sit there and debate the polls all you want, but everyone else will be out there campaigning.
Okay, but to the clip that we just heard from the Conservative leader, what do you make of that?
On the protester?
Yeah, well, not the protester, the exchange that just happened in terms of asking a reporter to comment on how large the crowd size actually is.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good thing to lead with. Like, I don't think you need to ask a reporter questions about did you see the rally and how significant it was. Like, yeah, we all saw it. We all know how big it was. And do those people, the 50,000 people that have went to these rallies across the country so far, like they appear to be motivated voters. Does something like that motivate people that we need to bring into the camp and voters that we need to access, or does it turn them away? So we'll see how that plays out during the campaign. But I think the rally should just speak for themselves.
Okay, Susan?
Two really strange moments on the campaign trail for Mr. Poilievre so far this week. One, did you see my crowd size? We've all heard Donald Trump ask that question. Kind of weird. It's kind of creepy. But there was another incident where a reporter was trying to ask a question, penned in a small 8x8 pen quite a ways away from Mr. Poilievre, and he claimed she was a protester, and she said, "No, I'm a reporter trying to ask a legitimate question." So this is a lockdown campaign that has no national media on the plane or the bus. They are hand choosing the 4 questions that Mr. Poilievre is getting, and I don't think that's a good look for someone who wants to be the Prime Minister of the country. When you're the Prime Minister, you have to be able to deal with whatever comes at you, question-wise, challenge-wise, problem-wise. And if you are so scripted that you can't handle a freelance question, I think that's worrisome.
George, what do you say to all that?
Well, I think that's exactly right. I think we've seen the way that he spoke to a woman journalist, and kind of does size matter, and kind of flirting almost on. But obviously, with that power dynamic, it's super condescending, and it's weird because it's a lesson he should have learned from Mark Carney, who started off the campaign with some of those flubs. And I think that's what's happening with the Conservatives. I think that they're really just locking down on their base, right? So no question, these rallies are massive, but it's those folks, and that's it. He's not expanding his coalition. If anything, he's letting the kind of more moderate ends of that peel off. And so the Arena campaign is going to make the base feel really, really good until election night when you don't win.
Okay. Well, not to use that as a segue, but I also want to talk about the NDP. Because, we've also seen a change of tone. And just very quickly, in terms of what we're now seeing from Jagmeet Singh, no longer the message of I'm running to be Prime Minister, it's I'm running to keep Parliament honest. Is that strategy going to work? Is that the only strategy left for the party?
Well, I think it's pretty typical for us, to be honest. I mean, you know, in 2008, I think was the first time that Jack Layton stood up and said, "I'm running to be prime minister," and people reacted to it, and he didn't quite understand it because really, there's a contract you have with people. If we're standing up front and making promises about what you want to do, and you have candidates in every riding across the country, then you have to say that the ultimate goal is government. Reality is reality, and so we're not there. And so what it is saying is, hey, do you have a local MP that you like a lot? Back them still. See what we did with 25 MPs? We were able to get pharmacare. We were able to get dental care. These are things that only happened because the NDP were there. So we're not going to back a minority government with Pierre Poilievre. But if the Liberals get a minority parliament and you've got the balance of power in the hands of the NDP, then we're going to deliver.
Okay, literally 2-word questions, 5-word answers rather. Will that work for the NDP, do you think?
I don't think in this election it's going to. It may save 1 or 2 seats, but the ballot question is Trump and the economy. And with all due respect to Mr. Singh, he's not part of the conversation about who's best to lead Canada and deal with those 2 issues.
Cool.
Given the dynamics of the election, I think being honest with voters and say, look, we're not contending for government, but we'll do our best to keep them honest is probably the best angle they have right now.
The Conservatives want that to keep going, though, right? Because then they don't vote Liberal.
Please do.
Liberals wanting Democrats to vote for the Liberals. So.
Yes, we do.
And there you have Canadian politics. George, Susan, Cole, thank you very much.